Good afternoon and welcome to this presentation that takes place on a Wednesday afternoon. We really are pleased to have you with us, and we trust that it's going to be beneficial to you. I'm sure there's a lot of information that you're going to pick up today, and what I've been saying to people earlier today is that take notes, and obviously, if you have a notepad, write down your questions and hold all the questions to the end. Now, if you happen to be watching the video on your own and you're not part of the presentation today, exactly the same applies. You can always make contact with us and we'll answer the questions to the best of our ability. So it's a word of welcome to everybody. We've got a number of people that have joined us today, and I'm accompanied by my team, well, some of the team. The first person I want to introduce quickly is Penny. She's my business partner, and of course, she's also my wife, for those that know our company. So Penny, quickly introduce yourself. Who are you and what do you do?
Thanks, Ken. So Ken is my husband and also my business partner. And some 13 odd years ago, we decided to put together INTRA-SAFE, really had a mission to help those that are training in health and safety and try and make it as easy for you as possible. My area of responsibility is more on the finance side of the business and the delivery side of the business. I'm also very involved with the e-learning platform and also the accreditation and now assisting also with development of new training materials, etc. And back to Ken.
And what's your background, Penny?
Well, I've been in business myself since my early 20s, so that's quite a time ago.
Just the other day.
Run a few businesses and still actually have other business interests. And I think I bring a lot of project management skills to Intra and vision and strategy, etc.
Excellent. Penny, thanks for introducing yourself. Now we'll go to Natalie. Won't you tell us who you are and what you do, Nat?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Natalie, and I'm the CRM manager at Intra. I'm responsible for marketing and also for the marketing online presence setup, which we'll talk about later. But I'm here to really assist you on your journey to becoming a licensee, answering any initial questions you have, scheduling one-on-one calls, and just making sure that you have all the information that you need to make an informed decision. Thanks for being here today.
Fantastic, Natalie. Thank you so much. And to everybody else that's joining us as we're speaking, good to have you with us. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, we're going to get straight into the presentation, and the message that went to you from Natalie's marketing desk was maybe one of a couple of things. One of which is it's an announcement that the QCTO has finally launched 11 new occupational health and safety training programs, which we'll be talking about. With these programs, you can become an accredited occupational health and safety training provider. If you've got accreditation, we'll talk about that. If you haven't got accreditation, this is a wonderful opportunity. But then it's also November. And every year in November, we have a Black Friday special, and we have a 10% saving on everything we're going to be talking about over here. Now, having said all of that, I think it's important that you know who we are and where we come from, but most importantly, just to say that this is not legal advice. This is an educational research due diligence process for those of you that are considering starting a business or taking on a new element in your business. However, if you're here from a corporate and you just want to access the training material, that too is fine. We'll talk about that. We'll make that arrangement. If you do need a lawyer, call us. We're pretty well connected, and we have a number of attorneys that will help. Now, for those of you that have not joined anywhere, you just got a link, please take a photograph of that screen. Now, I joke about it often when I used to run training programs. I used to say to people, switch your phone off. And in this instance, I'm saying, please switch your phone on and take a photograph. And the reason I say that is that number 082-499-6911, 082-499-6911 is a direct line into the marketing department. So once you got that number, then we encourage you to actually connect, and it's useful from a WhatsApp point of view. Okay, and then from my point of view, I wrote a book some time ago called The 1 Minute Safety Manager. And to get you onto my phone, and I'm saying get you on my phone because WhatsApp's become a little tighter now, you need my number on your phone and I need your number on my phone. So would you kindly just send a message, free book, to that number, 082-920-8912, and I'll send you an e-version of the book, The 1 Minute Safety Manager. The book itself was endorsed by Saiosh, the South African Institute of Occupational Safety and Health, and It has been extensively marketed around the country. I believe it's one of the first health and safety books written in South Africa for the South African market that hit the shelves of a big bookstore. Okay, so there's the free offer. Now, moving on. You got a little introduction into the myself, to Penny, and then also to Natalie. But just to let you know that Intra comprises of a number of other people as well. Our attorney, our accountant, our training material developer, our IT people, and so forth. And it's good to know that there are some really, really key people that will be able to assist you if and when you need assistance. On the right-hand side, you'll see some of these licensees that Penny was talking about. So we have licensees that range literally from Cape Town to Cairo, and we have about 100 licensees that operate in these districts. And I'll explain to you the benefit of that in a short while. But the licensees form a core part of the business. They are all independent trainers or in-house trainers, and we'll talk about them as well. Now, for everybody that's joined us today, it's really, or watching the video, it's really important that you get this document. It's called the prospectus, and in it is all the facts and figures, details, features and benefits, all terms and conditions, all that type of stuff. So you can get a copy by going onto the website, and it's www.INTRA-SAFE.co.za, and you'll click in the left-hand side top corner, and it says request more info. And this document will be sent to you automatically. Now, pretty much everything I say today will be in this document, so you can share it with colleagues and associates and your partners and so forth. Okay, so we've been saying to people for the past 13 years, as Penny says, become an accredited health and safety training provider. But for many, it's been a long journey waiting for the QCTO to write the appropriate training material, and we'll talk about that. For other people that are wanting to operate in the marketplace as freelance and or commercial and or retail trainers, it's great to know that there's something like 16 million people in South Africa that are employed that fall under the Occupational Health and Safety Act. That's a huge market. And of course, then there is a whole component of people that are not yet employed or unemployed, and they too need training. So that's your market, 16 million and counting. All right. So the Occupational Health and Safety Act is probably the prominent piece of legislation in South Africa. There is another piece of legislation called the Mines Health and Safety Act. We don't focus much around that. We obviously focus on the bigger portion of the market. But the question is, am I allowed to do training? What does the law say? Can people stop me from doing training? And we'll unpack all of those for you, and you'll get it in writing as well. So now I want to reference the Occupational Health and Safety Act as foundational information when it comes to health and safety training in South Africa. Section 8, the employer's duties, says the employer must establish the hazards and the precautionary measures, and the employer must provide information, instructions, training, and supervision. There we go. Straightforward, direct, clean, no argument, no question about it. Once the employer knows the hazards, they must then develop these precautionary measures. Those precautionary measures must be written into the training material and or the information sessions, the instruction sessions, the training sessions, and you'll then see supervision, because that self-same regulation act, at least, and section says that the supervisor must also be trained. Now it moves on, and in section 13, it says the employer shall cause every employee, now of course that's his or her employees, to be made conversant. And that's an interesting word in the legislation. Every, all 16,500 people, 16,500,000 people. And they must be made conversant. What does conversant mean? It means that if the person comes on a training program, they must be able to walk away and talk about what they've just learned. And what is it that they've learned? Well, they've learned about the hazards and those precautionary measures. So that's the foundational stuff. And we can see this clearly in the legislation. And the act is made up of an act and then multiple regulations, over 20 regulations. And you see these terms, inform, instruct, and train, coming up in these different regulations. So currently, we have a document called, Am I Allowed to Do This Training? And it's very interesting. People used to say to me, all health and safety training must be accredited. And I then needed to point it out to them that no, that's not the case. Some needs to be accredited, and I'll tell you which. Okay, now what if we don't do it? What if the employer doesn't do it? Well, we can see that it is a criminal offense. And criminal offense literally means convicted and jailed, or convicted and fined. And the fines in terms of the current act, the OHSA, is 50,000 Rand. But those of you that have been following the legal space will know that we have been talking about the amendment bill for some time now, and the fines rocket up to 5 million Rand or imprisonment. And by the way, I don't know if you know this, but that's per offense. So if you happen to have an offense that's taken place or an incident that's taken place, and the Department of Employment and Labor charged the person, and let's figuratively say 6 people were killed, that's 6 times 50,000 or 6 times 5 million. And of course, we'll get into the legalities of all of that, because there's also an act called the Magistrate Court Act, where the magistrate can actually increase the fine. But enough of that. I don't like putting fear into people's hearts and heads and minds, but it is important to know that. Okay, so you're going to come across this a lot, where people talk about terms and sometimes, regrettably, ignorantly, or innocently, or naively. And it's true to say that if you had to say to most people, what's accreditation? And then people ask me questions like, is your training material accredited? No, because it can't be. There's no place for it in terms of legislation. Has your training been agreed on? Don't know. But that's very clear in the Act, where it says that the health and safety reps and the committees, the training must be agreed upon. And what does that mean? Or aligned, or approved, or certified. And if you look at those words, you can see these words are sometimes very confusing. And we hear of people saying competency. Somebody asked me yesterday, said, can I issue a certificate of competency not without being accredited? So these are explanations which we'll give you. We've got workshops, we've got orientation sessions and onboarding, and we run these sessions over and over and over so people are familiar with it. Then compliant and registered and verified and licensed and things of that nature. Now, it often comes up where people say to me, but Ken, who are you? Who are you to run these training programs? Well, a little bit of a background. I have a law enforcement background. I was in the South African police for 5-6 years. I was involved in the prosecutorial processes while I was there. Then I moved across to the South African Navy, where I was in the military police and again involved in prosecutorial processes. And then they started the Marines. So I went, okay, I'm going to get out of the police after about 11 years in law enforcement and a year at police college. I then moved into security as a security manager at a national key point. And while I was there, the general manager said, Ken, can you take over and run the health and safety department? Well, those days it was just the safety department under the old Machinery and Occupational Safety Act. The answer is yes. So having done that, I did a number of courses with 𝗤𝗎𝗄 and then landed up working for 𝗤𝗎𝗄 for 5 years. It was one of the best jobs I've ever had in my life. Regrettably, they didn't pay well. So I decided to leave and set up INTRA-SAFE, which is a training company. And I've been in this training space for over, well, that company was for 7 years. And subsequent to that for another 25 years. Can you believe it? Well, you can see it. You can see 25 years. Very easy to identify. Okay, so I tell you this because we're pretty well connected. Now, Intra and myself and Penny and all the team, we're not experts. In fact, sometimes I regard us as novices. I don't have a legal degree. I spent a year in college and studied law, but I don't have a legal degree. So very important to note. Okay, so having said that, let's go back to our PowerPoint. And you'll see that these terms come up over and over and over and over and over again. So I'm kind of like diverging a little bit over here because the word competency comes up in the Act and regulations first before it comes up with 𝗤𝗖𝗧𝗢𝗍 NQ of QCTO. Let me say that again. Competency is a legal word and it has to be based on law. And then, of course, we'll see it comes up with the accreditation processes. All right. So it's important as well to know that there's a difference in terms of legal compliance training versus credit-bearing training. Legal compliance training is where the law says identify the hazards and train your people. Credit-bearing training is something quite different, although it's still the same topic. But credit-bearing training is where a credit can be issued by an accredited organization, and more on that score. Okay, so the question does come up. When must training be accredited? When competency is measured in the regulation. And there's a definition. You can have a look at the definition. Where do we find the competency regulations or mention? Well, there we go. General safety regs, driven machinery, construction regulations, ergonomics, and so forth. And it's important to note that some regulations don't have it in. Strangely enough, I was looking at the the major hazard installation regulation this morning, and they don't have it in. And that regulation came out in 2023, I think it was. So interesting to note. But more about that in our training sessions and our orientation sessions and things. And then we also, when it comes to competency, notice that with this draft construction regulation, they changed it. How about that? Now, what do they change? You'll see in the competency definition, it says, provided that where appropriate qualifications and training are registered in terms of the NQF Act, those qualifications and that training must be regarded as the required qualification and training. So what if it's not mentioned, such as the draft regulations? And what if it's not mentioned because there's no unit standard, as in the old system, or no QCTO curriculum? And these are just questions which we ask and want you to ask as well. Okay, so what we did is that we put a business model together. And if you like, this business model is similar to a franchise. And it comprises of these different elements. And the prospectus document will break it down into various elements that you can go through and read and understand. But in short, it's a business model. We have business onboarding and business orientation. We have product orientation from time to time. We have online marketing setup. And then we've got training material and training internally. So the compliance training material would look at, and I'll talk about that just now, where identify the hazards and train the people. We have an e-learning platform. We've got a lot of SAQA training material. We've got a number of videos that we've been running and AI workshops and so forth. We've got product updates. Then we're also now entering the ISO space. We will be running workshops and guidance, and the next workshop for ISO is on the 8th of December, that is. And then we've got all the we've got QCTO training material, which is different to compliance training material, by the way. And then we've got the QCTO DIY accreditation processes with the Accredikit and the workshops, the DIY accreditation workshops, and Penny will justify that and talk about that just now. Then we've got huge network opportunities, which is just so fantastic. And then for those that want to, there's a license upgrade. And the licenses go from starter, basic, prime, and platinum. Prime's also got one called a Prime Plus, which is a bit of an add-on. And those are the 4 licenses. So people that get the basic license or the prime license, they can run a training business. They can become independent trainers running courses commercially or for retail. Then we've got a lot of people like Michael. Michael, this might be something that's relevant to you, where the training is done in-house. And there are a couple of very, very good reasons and benefits if you do it in-house. So we'll get back to that. We'll talk about that in greater detail in future. But what are the basic benefits of becoming a licensee? Well, I think we were chatting to somebody this week. The big thing is we will save you time. The amount of time that I spent when I set up my training company running around like a chicken without a head, it was absolutely insane, the amount of time. Those days, there was no digital application, so I couldn't Google, or I couldn't use AI, or I couldn't use anything like that. I had to do it myself. And I grew the business to about 20 staff members, Cape Town, Durban, Joburg, and so forth. And I wrote training material until it was coming out of my ears. So these are the benefits for becoming a licensee. And the licensee has rights, and those rights include things like the right to reproduce the material, the right to co-brand, the right to resell our e-learning attendance, and. Okay, now enough of that. Let's move on. So we know that with the basic and the prime license, you need training material. So you can do compliance training. This is not credit bearing, please note. Not credit bearing. This is the law said, identify the hazards and train the people. That's what it said. So if you look over there, you'll see a number of programs that you could run within your organization, particularly so if you're familiar with them. We've got 26 programs that you could run. And these programs were written with the primary objective of allowing you to run your own customizable, adaptable, legal compliance training for either your staff or your own client list. That's completely up to you. And in the prospectus document, we will show you what we've got. We have a document called the catalog, the training material catalog, because you can also acquire any of this training material as individual standalone items. And the training material catalog will give you a lot of information. It's got a proper content sheet and for each one of the programs and a description of the program that you're going to get. So We are really grateful to have Penny involved in the e-learning platform. So I'm going to ask her to quickly share a little bit of information about our e-learning platform, how it works and how you can use it.
Thanks, Ken. And yeah, so the e-learning platform, I think, gives you a lot of really great opportunity. Because it's quite an expense to get your e-learning platform up and running if you are brand new and resources are tight. We allow you to share our platform, and we charge you a flat rate per learner per course, and you can charge your client the retail rate, so you're making a nice profit straight away. And it's a great way to add additional income on a monthly basis. This is also great just in terms of legal compliance, tick boxing with clients that are maybe spread geographically across the country, and it's not economically viable for you to get to each and every venue. But obviously the training needs to be done. And this particular series of training courses is in the English language. The learners should be literate. They should be able to exercise their own self-discipline and take themselves through a course independently. This whole platform, we're looking at a total revise of this in 2026. So that's the exciting news in the future, but it's been working exceptionally well. And I think it's also helped the licensees as well in terms of building in a refresher program. So they will do the face-to-face training, and then maybe in 2 or 3 months' time, they will book the e-learning training as a refresher. And you know, you can do that on a continuous basis. It's also great to do a career path where clients are looking to build expertise and skills, especially those that they are grooming to become safety officers, etc. This is an excellent way to do that, maybe 1 course a month over a period of time. And even for the training providers themselves, it gives them a great opportunity to familiarize themselves with the content of these legal compliance courses. We've chosen like the most important ones, the most popular ones. And we do, for the basic and the prime and platinum licenses, we actually open up all of the courses to you, that you are able to complete all of the courses. If you complete all of the courses successfully, then you get a very special trademark certificate to INTRA, which is called the HASMAN. So that's something that we're evolving over time and building over time to become something similar, perhaps to SAMTRAC, etc. But it's a lovely additional certification for you.
I think Penny makes a very good point there. You know, for many of us, when we got into the health and safety field, it was new. It was something I wasn't familiar with. I was a policeman previously. And then in security, so what did I know about ergonomics, as an example? Nothing. Well, I knew you could hurt yourself, you could pull, push, shove, and those sorts of things, and you could hurt yourself. But in reality, I didn't know much about it. So what we do is we say, right, you can acquire the training material, the ergonomics training material. The program is called the Ergo Track. Then once you've got that, you attend the Ergo Track e-learning as orientation. Then we suggest that you go into the marketplace and you speak to either your employer, or alternatively, you speak to a client and offer it as a talk. Remember those 3 things: inform, instruct, and train. So offer the ergonomic, shall we call it, information session as an introduction, and do that 2 or 3 times so that you become familiar with it. Watch the videos. We've got videos on our YouTube platform that you can watch. In particular, the developer, who's one of South Africa's leading ergonomists, he did a video with us, and you watch that. Now, are you a subject matter expert? Heck no. No, not at all. But what you are is you can go out and converse. Do you remember section 13? The employer must be able to converse, be able to talk about. All right, so there's a lot more that we can share with you. Then, as part of the legacy criteria from the old SETA system, we still have a lot of training material that you could use, although you cannot issue credits as a result of running these programs. But we've got about 40 programs that you could still use, you could modify and update it, and so forth. And it means that you can run 26 programs, plus now 40 programs. That takes it to 66 programs. And then, of course, the QCTO training material we'll be talking about shortly. Starting with the basic and prime licensee, who will get accreditation guidance, and Penny runs this department. Check the date, December the 4th. Over to Penny.
So as part of our accreditation program for the QCTO, we decided that we wanted to create a program that would support our licensees and empower them to do their own accreditation, therefore saving every single time on consultation fees and additional training material fees, etc. So they don't pay, again, additional amounts every time there's a new training material published. Intra has a whole team, and we've actually just extended our team quite substantively to cope with the demand of developers, outstanding quality, outstanding level of experience in developing QCTO training materials, including even one of the ladies has been working with a college for many, many years with the QCTO. So we're very, very grateful to have such a great team. What does it mean to you? It means that you don't have to worry. It means that you're going to get a guaranteed accreditation ready training material that you are going to be able to use for your accreditation and then going forward with your learners. So we have an AccrediKit Google Drive that is available that includes all of the different checklists, templates, etc. A QMS that is regularly renewed, reviewed and renewed every year in keeping with the QCTO policies and procedures. And that's of course a whole nother process that you have to include within your accreditation. Anyway, we're not going to get into all the details of what you will need for your accreditation, but the Google Drive AccrediKit is evolving all the time. And also as things change and there's very slight differences in interpretation from the QCTO that we need to pass on to you. So we do that, and we make sure that you have the latest information and that you're able to proceed as easily as possible. We also run a workshop once a month. Currently, that is a 2-hour session, and we are going to be breaking up also into small, short videos for you as well. And there's a second workshop coming, which will be Now I'm Accredited, Now What? And that takes you through the journey of how to make sure that your theses have been formally...
Whoa, what's a FP&M?
Your final integrated summative assessment, your final exam. All of these things that are required by the QCTO to quality assure your training and to make sure that your learners will get their certificates at the end of the day.
Penny, thank you so much. So what we've been doing is from the onset, literally when we went from Department of Employment and Labour First Aid courses level 1, 2, and 3 into the arms of SETA, we've been on this journey ever since, figuring out how that works and what we can say to our clients. We've got our own SETA accreditation, which, as you know, these things have expired, and there's been this big change. And the big change is we're going to go from SETA and SACWA in terms of QCTO, in terms of, unit standards. We're going to go to QCTO curriculum. Now, I've just highlighted those two words, they're approved and published. What's the difference, Penny?
So in the processes of getting these skills programs up and running, and we're really focusing on the under 8 credit area, and that's the most urgently required, if you like, and the most popular for training providers in the area of health and safety. They first had to be approved by the QCTO to be developed. Then there's a whole development process, and we were part of one of the working groups on some of these. And however long that takes, then it is submitted back to the QCTO for their final approval. It goes through various different hands and editing, etc. And then ultimately it is published on the QCTO website. So this is where we're at the moment, at the end of 2025. We're super excited that after a wait of about 2 years, we now have the additional 11 OHS skills programs that have been published.
So not to confuse this word approved with the Department of Employment and Labour approval. Why they didn't sort out the lexicon, I'm not sure, but it is what it is. And it is important for you to know the difference when we talk. If I say a program is approved, does that mean the Department of Employment and Labour has approved it, Penny?
No, Department of Employment and Labour approval, as you know, with first aid, for example, it's not sufficient that you have your accreditation. You also have to be approved by the Department of Employment and Labour, and you will get your CI number. And we help you with that process as well. That's all part and parcel of the deal.
Yeah. So hope we haven't confused you yet. But the nice thing is that as we get into it, and as we've gotten into it, It becomes clearer and clearer and clearer and clearer. And I think the big thing for most people, they feel intimidated because it's all this terminology and it's all these documents and things. But it's the Afrikaans het mooi gesê, en dit is
Doenbaar.
It's doenbaar. It is doable. So if you become a licensee, you could attend the QCTO workshop, the DIY workshop, with Penny on December the 4th. So you can chat to Natalie and you can chat to Penny about that as well. We'll give you more information on that. Okay, moving on.
So we're really proud of our licensees that have gone through the processes with the QCTO, and many of our licensees have already got their first aid accreditation in place, and they were all eagerly awaiting the new OHS skills programs. And I know that there is a whole ton of INTRA licensees that are going to be applying now for their QCTO accreditation for the OHS skills programs. And you can see with the venue shots there that our licensees have presented a very high standard, not only in terms of their own skills and their own CVs, of course, very experienced trainers, but also in the presentation and the preparation of their sites. Their venues have got lots and lots of compliments. I think the quickest we ever had a venue check was about 45 minutes. I mean, the verifier was just so impressed. But sometimes it can be 3 or 4 hours, so it's not always as quick as that.
But we'll prep you for that.
Yes, absolutely. All the preparation is there. And we really want you to be as confident as possible. And even if you are feeling a bit nervous, we do have QCTO verifiers that are licensees. And you can book a rehearsal with them, and they can actually do a proper rehearsal with you so that you can make sure that you are fully 100% prepared. But nothing to be alarmed about, you know, or to run away from. It's absolutely doable. And yeah, well done to all the licensees that have already got their accreditation. So the accreditation guidance is freely available as part of the bundle for the Prime and the Prime Plus. The basic license does not include this area and does not include the QCTO training materials.
Okay, so we're going to be talking about accreditation, and Penny's got a program that she's called the Prime Plus, where instead of teaching you how to do it, we'll have one of our teams hold your hand if you just do not have the time. However,
even with the Prime Plus, you know, there's no ways that we can actually do it all for you. And in fact, the QCTO don't like that. You know, they want to be dealing directly with the business owner. However, for the Prime Plus, we do certainly have licensees that it really is clear that they just need that extra assistance. And we're pleased to offer that with the Prime Plus program. So if that's you and you really feel you want to have that certainty and hand-holding all the way through, absolutely happy to do that.
Absolutely. And it is possible for you to do it yourself. And you can go onto the QCTO website and download all the documents, and you can. But I said right at the beginning, one of the big benefits of becoming a licensee is time saved. Time and money saved.
Time and money.
Because this way, I don't want to exaggerate, but I would imagine that Penny has put a year's worth of research into how to make this thing work and to make it as easy and as doenbaar as possible. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what this costs. So I'm going to ask Natalie to come on board. She's going to just talk you through the various costs. And as our customer relations manager, she's directly involved with things like quotes and invoices and proposals and things like that. So Natalie, over to you.
Sure. So the Platinum license starts at 105,500. All prices are exclusive of VAT. We usually like to set up a one-on-one call just to ascertain what your needs are, see how many employees you have, how many branches you have, and then we quote from there. But the standard price is the one noted on the screen. Then we have our Prime license, which is 49,500, and you can see the discounted rate on the right-hand side, and that has a monthly license fee of 1,500 per month.
What do you get for the license fee, Natalie?
You get support, updates, any new material that gets developed. There's many workshops that happen on a monthly basis. So you really get a lot for what you are paying for every month. There's a lot that you get to tap into in terms of your training needs.
And when we run these workshops, it's all on Zoom or Teams. What we say is that 1,500 covers your entire team, all of them. We had a session a little while ago with a client in Namibia, and I think there were maybe 8 or 9 people in that session. So you just divide 8 into 1,500 Rand, and you'll see. Okay, please note that these prices do exclude VAT, and the Black Friday offer is up to the end of November this year. And then, of course, we've got the Prime Plus.
Yes, we have the Prime Plus. The upfront fee for that is 69,500, less the 10% discount, price on the side. It's a good saving there. Also has a monthly license fee of 1,500 per month.
Correct.
Then we have our basic license. The upfront fee is 29,500, coming in at 26,550 with the discount. Similar monthly license fee of 1,500 per month.
And the big difference, of course, is with the basic, there's no QCTO support at all. No QCTO material, no QCTO DIY workshop, or any of those things. And maybe you already have QCTO accreditation. So we've separated those two elements.
Then we have our starter license. The upfront fee is 15,500, and the monthly license fee on that is 500 Rand.
And then lastly, we have the training material,
which we sell individually. So you could build your library one training material at a time, and we sell that for 2,604.35.
So all of these prices, all these rates are available in a quotation. So it's formal. You can hand it to your management. You can hand it to your partner, and Natalie will prepare it for you and get it to you so that you've got something in writing. We will not fluctuate on these things, but it is important to know that any money spent on a business venture such as this is tax deductible, which essentially means that SARS will make a serious contribution to the setup of your company or your department. And that is a huge, 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 huge benefit. Most people don't realize. They think it's just going to be an outlay. But if you keep your books appropriately, your accounting or officer or someone like that will guarantee that this money is tax deductible. Okay, so moving on. We say that there's a 10% saving on all these costs, and Natalie will give that to you in writing. So now Penny was talking earlier on about the programs that are published, and she's going to talk about them now.
Excellent. So we remember in September of 2023, we were very, very excited to receive the first aid skills programs, the basic, intermediate, and advanced. And Intra developed its own basic. Ken worked together with 𝗤𝗙𝗏𝗏. And then 𝗤𝗙𝗏𝗏 worked on our intermediate, and we were very fortunate. One of our licensees at the Africa Institute of Emergency Medicine, so they assisted with the advanced program. And many of our licensees have gone through successfully with the QCTO, with this accreditation. Lots of compliments about the training material. But then we were just waiting for the new OHS skills programs to be published. And the good news is that at last they have been published. You will note that we were always looking for a unit standard number, and here we have SP numbers. So it's SP hyphen, and then there's a 6-digit number.
What does SP stand for, Penny?
Skills program.
Skills program. Then you'll see title and NQF and credits. So the first number that you see there, 2 and 2. So that's level 2 in the NQF system and 2 credits. So it's important to note, look at the advanced program. It's level 4 and 6 credits. Now the question is, what is level 4? And at what stage are you in terms of coming on this program? And you'll see that the NQF has this scale. Let us know. We'll send it to you. You can have a look at it, and you can see who can attend these programs. But certainly the basic and intermediate, pretty straightforward. Almost every single person in South Africa with a basic and with a fundamental education will be able to attend the first 2 programs.
Yeah, your minimum qualifications required for you to facilitate these programs and or for learners to attend these programs is dictated by the curriculum document that's available. And you can download these directly from the QCTO website. So there's normally a curriculum document and a explanatory document, which gives you all the necessary information and requirements for the training.
Great. Now, remember Penny said that they go through an approval process and now they've been published. And recently, in the last month or so, a new one has just been published.
So the first one that popped up was the operational OHS risk assessor. And we've had a whole number of these already pre-prepared, and now with the curriculums being published, we're able to sort of fine-tune them. They're still in final edits and peer review at the moment, but we are expecting to be able to deliver to our licensees already by the end of this month or beginning of December.
So in terms of health and safety talk and speak and lexicons, this program is what we would commonly call HIRA, Hazard Identification and Risk Assessment. You'll see level 3, 2 credits. So that immediately tells you who would be able to attend the program and who would be able to present the program. Right, when you become a licensee and you go through the accreditation process, as a prime licensee, you'll receive the training material. And the training material comprises of all those documents on the left-hand side, facilitator guides and visuals and workbooks and so forth, and FEASers that Penny mentioned early on, and a program implementation form 3, a learning matrix form 4. And you, what are those? Penny will explain them on the workshop, and it's important that you actually attend that workshop. You and your team can attend it. And then, of course, the 2 lower documents are the ones off the website, the QCTO website. Okay, now, not only, as they say, not only do you get that one, you also get the next 5 that have just been published.
So we really wanted to focus on the 2 credit training materials first, because that's like been the highest demand. And you normally, when you do your accreditation application for skills programs, you can only do up to a maximum of 5 at any one time. So it just made sense to have 5 of the 2 credits all available. And the evacuation marshal, I think, is the last that's been prepared there. The others have all been completed. And as I say, they're in final edit and they'll be ready the end of this month. So very excited for those.
As a basic and prime licensee, what you'll also get, you'll get the training programs that we call legal compliance. So you'll get ACTRAC, which covers the legislation. You'll get HAZRIP, which is Health and Safety Representative, EVACTRAC, INVESTTRAC, and so forth. Now, please note, when you look at those programs, it means that you can actually get on with the job of familiarizing yourself, doing the training in the meantime, not waiting. Do not wait until such time as eventually the QCTO gets their act together. So you can go ahead, and if you're a commercially orientated person, you can make money from that. But as they say, that's not all, folks.
So the intermediate legal liability we've already completed, and that's also in final edit, and the rest are on order. They're in development at the moment, and we're very excited to be working together with an extended team at this stage to ensure that we can deliver to our licensees. But really, we've taken on outstanding quality in terms of the expertise of training material development, many years working with the QCTO, and they are really opening our eyes to a lot of things that we were not aware of previously, that we are able to help our licensees with going forward, and trying to make their experience with the QCTO as proactive as possible and as easy as possible, and without too many backwards and forwards, which I think has been the experience in the past. So we're very excited to bring all of these new innovations, if you like, into our group,
Our stable.
Our stable, yeah.
Fantastic. So what we've got agreement from our developers is that the moment that they write a training program, they'll also run an orientation session for you and your team. We'll record that, put it onto our YouTube channel, and then you can go back to it again and again. And if you have a new facilitator and they need to familiarize themselves, we'll gladly show them the video or give them access to the video.
So in the pipeline as well, there are many more skills programs that are going to be coming through. And this was also part of our reasoning as to why we wanted to develop an in-house do-it-yourself accreditation program. Otherwise, you would have to pay an extra 5-10K each and every time if you're working with an exterior consultant. So Not to knock any exterior consultants, they're absolutely excellent. We've worked with some of the best. But we really do see that you can do it on your own.
And save a lot of
and
money.
we will show you how. But you can see in the list that the next list of 7 that are coming through, the very, very important one, ergonomics, is coming. And, it states repetitively in the regulations that training is required for each and every employee for ergonomics. And it's been perhaps maybe put to one side and perhaps a little bit ignored, but it is a very, very important training material. So very excited to get that. And you can see some of the others coming through as well, which will complement your suite. So once you've done 5, you can do the next 5, and you can do the next 5, and you can do the next 5, and until you feel that you are comfortable that these are the ones that your clients are really asking you for. And as Ken was saying, never, ever, ever, ever forget that legal compliance training is still your foundation. That's your number
absolutely.
1. We do want you to be accredited with QCTO. It's very important for your credibility. It's very important for your marketing, etc. But it might be that will be the pinnacle of the training that you provide your clients. 𝗤𝗖𝗃𝗃𝗍𝗃, in terms of the fire, they are busy in production right now of 7 skills programs that are coming out. They're fairly heavy in terms of the credit load. So we are looking forward to their next round, where they are bringing in the basic fire skills programs. So these are more suited to those that are making a career as a fire marshal, etc. And building up.
Oh, this is a professional fire.
Yeah, exactly. But really great that these skills programs are coming through. I think they're going to be very helpful. And the basic fire will come out in 2026. And that is certainly one that we're excited to be able to present to you. I've been part of these working groups and very, very good working groups that are putting these together. The Working at Heights, as we've said previously, Dr. 𝗤𝗖𝗃𝗃𝗍𝗃 and the Institute of Working at Heights have implemented their own interim system. They've decided to make that interim system now a permanent system going forward, as it's working well. And it addresses the issue of not having adequate QCTO courses available for this very, very, very important area. So if Working at Heights is part and parcel of your responsibilities and your area of interest, you will have to approach the Institute of Working at Heights. There is the email address is there for Lizani at qmd@𝗤𝗿𝗃𝗃𝗍𝗃, and just ask her to give you all the information and the process. You register with the DSA first to ensure that you are credible as a facilitator and that you have your necessary documents, etc. And then you go forward to the Institute of Working at Heights. But a very, very important process. We're very grateful that they have actually introduced this. A lot of our licensees are already through that process. At least while there is this big vacuum, we've got something that we can fall back on.
Okay, so now we're starting to wrap up the presentation, and obviously you can see that there's a lot involved, a lot of information. If you're new to this, we will do our very best to make sure that you're familiar with it and that you're comfortable with it. And you can discuss it around the braai or wherever you're going to be talking about these things. So we don't leave you there. We don't just say, well, here's the material, goodbye. What we do is we look at this business model and we say, what else can we bring to the party? And there are a number of things that we can bring to the party. In the previous slide, you would have seen that we were speaking about ISO, the International Standards Organization. And we have a workshop that's coming up shortly with ISO. Penny can talk about that in a second.
Absolutely. So we've been working with a number of suppliers with regards to ISO awareness programs, and we're very excited to have Pierre Venter on board. He is doing a free 4-hour workshop with our licensees on Monday, the 8th of December. It's probably one of the last events of the year before everybody closes down. But really looking forward to that. And ISO is so critical, especially if you're working internationally or with international companies. And it's going to be great to add that, to your suite of qualifications, etc., etc.
100%. So you can see there's a lot more. And then we go one step further. We say, if you're going to be running a commercial or retail operation, you probably need some guidance as far as online marketing presence. And Natalie has a degree in media from the University of Cape Town. She's worked for a number of large ad agencies in Cape Town, and for the past year or two or three, she's been looking after our licensees' online marketing presence setup. So over to you, Nats.
Thanks. Yeah, so included in the basic and the prime license is something called the online marketing presence setup. Just found that often many licensees, they don't necessarily have much of a presence yet established, and just having that presence already gives you a way for people to find you and credibility. So I just ensure that you are present on a couple of important platforms. I give you a digital marketing rollout plan, which just gives you a starting point to get going with your online marketing. And I also have a video which just takes you through how best to use the platforms and even gives you a little bit of insight into using ChatGPT for your content marketing efforts. And yeah, I'm here to answer any questions for you and give you a bit of consultation on your online marketing journey.
Penny was
Thanks.
talking about the AI workshop. So Natalie, thank you so much. Really appreciate your input for the licensees. And we run this AI workshop. It's going to be session 2 coming up shortly. That goes hand in hand with the online marketing presence, because many people go, I don't know how to develop training material. I don't know how to develop marketing material. And the AI workshop is absolutely brilliant for that. So Penny, you want to add anything there?
Absolutely. So we've got the second one coming up now this Friday, and I think there's one more this year. And these are provided free to our basic, prime plus platinum licensees. And yeah, it can absolutely, it's a game changer of note for sure. It's going to help you in so many different ways. So absolutely, you want to embrace AI. You know, AI is here, and we have to embrace it. You know, it's a little bit like saying no to using a cell phone. You know, it's like now everybody has at least one cell phone, maybe two. It's here, and we need to make use of it, and it can definitely help you in so many different ways, saving you time, saving you money, as the saying goes.
And Penny talks about free. So a number of these platforms that you'll be looking at are in fact free.
Yeah.
There are the sort of, shall we say, the introductory versions that you can get involved and get your business onto, and then Natalie will talk you through that as well. Natalie, thank you so much. Okay, let's move on.
So with the onboarding process, we do a short onboarding once we've done your delivery. And I just make sure that you've received everything correctly and that you're aware actually of what you have. And it's a little bit overwhelming perhaps because it's a big delivery. And for Prime, you know, we're delivering more than R250,000 worth of training materials, etc., to you. And we want to make sure that you look after it and you save it correctly and back it up correctly, etc., etc. And then Ken takes over with a 4-hour orientation, business orientation that he runs once a month. And this digs a little bit deeper into setting up your business. It's motivational, it's inspirational. It feels like 5 minutes, not 4 hours. And he also unpacks the operations manual, which gives you a much bigger insight as to what the possibilities are and income opportunities within your license. And, you know, it's difficult in a short period of time like this, and I see we're almost out of time, to cover all of the benefits of being an INTRA licensee. I mean, we haven't even spoke about partner company discounts that you get as an INTRA licensee. So we're constantly evolving the process. We're constantly adding to it as we're getting bigger. We're able to do a lot more for you.
So I mentioned to you that we operate literally from Cape Town to Cairo. In fact, I think it's right out of Dubai to Durbanville. That sounds good. And we're in about 8 other African countries. So you might find yourself in a situation where your company has a branch there, and or you want to go and do business there, and or you find yourself in a situation where you can't get to Welkom, Kimberley, someplace like that, and you need somebody to run a training program in Daar or 𝗤𝗍𝗃𝗃 or someplace. You just reach out to us. We've got this network. We will send the information out to the network. The people on the network will literally get hold of you, and you can collaborate with them. We don't get involved. Yep. All we do is we do the introduction. And with that, you then immediately, by becoming a prime or a basic or a prime licensee, you immediately have a team of a couple of dozen people that can
scale. Yeah, you can scale so much more easily. I think this is like, it's really come up as being one of the biggest benefits, especially with the challenges with accreditation from the SETA to QCTO. 90% of our licensees had their SETA accreditation in place, and so they were able to continue making use of their SETA numbers until June 2026, I think it is. And that's been very, very helpful. So if you're in a situation where you don't have any accreditation, you are going to apply for your QCTO accreditation, but that will take a bit of time. You can partner with other INTRA licensees who are accredited in the meantime in terms of servicing your clients, and never ever forgetting legal compliance training is still the base. Just one other thing about the network is that we are finding as well that a lot of our very experienced licensees are really mentoring newer licensees, and they do that largely freely and very generously, where they share intellectual property and they share ideas and advice, and that has also been very, very helpful.
We encourage our licensees to complete rather than compete. And that really means that you've got somebody that you can go to. You can't get hold of Penny, myself, and Nnatli. Can't get hold of somebody that's in a specific field. You can reach out to this amazing network of people. We'll give you more examples when we do the orientation. Okay, now the big question is where to from here? So you put this little document called the roadmap together, and the idea is step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and you can get that where to from here document by request. You'd obviously have to request it from the website or from Nnatli or from us, and by getting that document, you'll be able to share it with your team, share it with your manager or your partner, as in, what do we need to do now? And I honestly believe that's useful. Those of you that took my number earlier on, you can actually WhatsApp me right now, and I'll send you that document. Maybe not put the burden onto Nnatli. Yeah, let's do it like this. Take down my number, just jot it down here, 082 920 8912. That's 082 920 8912. And for those of you that haven't requested the book, The 1 Minute Safety Manager, as an ebook, you can also just use that same number and say, send me the roadmap and the 1 Minute Safety Manager. I know a couple of people joined late, so they don't know about that. But once you look at the video, you'll see what we're talking about. Right, we're coming to the end of the presentation. I want to say to everybody that's been involved, thank you so much. The next step for you is, if any of these licenses appeal to you, even the training material or anything of that nature, you can request a quote from Nnatli, and she'll put it in writing so that you've got it off our accounting system. You've got it, and you can provide it and share it as you feel appropriate. The prospectus is the Black Friday prospectus, very important. All the prices and details are there. And then if you have any final questions, you can happily set up a Zoom meeting with Nnatli and myself, and I will go through certain things, answer your questions. I don't mind that at all.
We obviously prefer to meet you face to face and just get a better idea of what your vision is, and a little bit of your background, etc. So these Zoom sessions are very, very important. So please don't hesitate to book those times as soon as you can, as you know, the time is running out for the year.
Time is running out.
Book it as quickly as you can.
So Nnatli will send you the link to the YouTube channel, and you can then watch this video and share the link with your colleagues and so forth. And then you can set up the meeting. And throughout the entire process, bear in mind there is this principle in law and in accounting called do your due diligence. We suggest you take the prospectus, you print it, go through it with a highlighter, make sure that the questions that you have in your mind are jotted down. So when we meet, we can answer those questions. I also strongly encourage you to hand a copy of the prospectus to your accountant or your bookkeeper, or maybe a family member that is a business owner and has been in business and is experienced, or maybe an attorney. We would really, really like them to take a look at it, and then you can get some feedback. So as we close this presentation, I'm not too sure if this is a fit. I trust that you've seen something here that would work for you, your family, your company, and so forth. If it's a fit, give us a shout. We will definitely work with you, and it will be an absolute privilege. And then, for those of you that feel it's not a fit just yet, keep your ear to the ground, because the QCTO is on a roll, and we will be seeing things happening. And if you're thinking of running as a business, there are business opportunities. I'm going to hand over to Nnatli and see if there's any questions in the chat box, and then we're going to stop the recording, and we will take live questions, we'll open the microphones. Natalie, over to you.
Yes, I was just having a look in here quickly. Do you want to go straight to questions?
Why not?
Or okay, cool. So someone just asked the 1,500 monthly license fee. For how long is that for? So I just mentioned it's a period of 60 months.
Correct.
And then a question from BHM Brat. Two questions. It seems the change in courses is not a straight one-to-one, and the new ones have different scopes from the old ones.
Yes,
Then,
absolutely.
okay. And then it also seems some require completing one before the other. I believe 603 requires 604 first. Is that actually the case?
Yes, so some of them, you will see that detail in the curriculum and the explanatory documents for each of the courses. Not in all of them, but for example, if you're going to do the risk assessor, they prefer that you've done the basic legal liability first. So what we've done is I've just done a facilitator and a learner kind of qualification document that I've included for each and every training material. And I'll do a kind of like an express summary of that, like an express table for our licensees. So you can just see that at a glance. Okay, if I'm going to be training, there's a lot of the 2-credit training programs. As a facilitator, you just need to be 1 NQF higher than the requirement. And you need to have at least 2 years experience in that area and in health and safety. So those, I think, are fairly easy to, if I can say that, fairly easy to approach. The others, which are 5 or 6 credits, it's a lot more onerous in terms of the specifications for your subject matter experts. But we'll do an express table for our licensees.
Great. Whoever came up with that question, well done. It means that you're on the ball, you're
Yes.
listening, got your ear to the ground, and well done. We really, really do encourage that. So there's a lot of other questions that we can ask, or you could ask. So I'm going to stop the recording right now. I want Natalie just to quickly do a summary, then Penny and I'll wrap up. We're already a couple of minutes past the hour.
Yeah, thank you. So if you would like a quote, then you are able to just WhatsApp me on the number on the screen, 082-499-6911. Or you can also send me an email. I will drop my details in the chat as well, and you can just request a quote. Or if you would like to also book a one-on-one session with Ken and Penny, then you can let me know and I'll send you a link to book that, because we often like to just go over your questions in detail and have a bit of a one-on-one session before you take the next step.
Absolutely. Okay. Natalie, thank you so much. And thank you for all the hard work that you put in. We really, really appreciate that. Okay, Penny, your wrap up.
Yes, thank you for being here. And for those of you that are picking it up on the video, we're really looking forward to meeting with you and discussing your needs and your vision. And we're really here to help. We're really here to try and make your life easier and remove as many of the obstacles and challenges that are in front of you, so that you can get out there and work with your clients and train successfully and keep employees safe at the end of the day, and also make a decent income and a decent living. I think there's a lot of income opportunities within the license program. We haven't been able to touch on all of those here today, but certainly we want you to be profitable so that you can build a strong, successful business and are therefore able not only to look after yourself and your family, but many others too.
Great. I think it's all been said between Natalie and Penny. The last thing that I'll just say is stay safe, play safe. Bye for now.